I'm going to read once again from this book, Simply A Course in Miracles by Alawalani, my pen name. It's on Amazon, Simply A Course in Miracles. In the middle of the book, I have quotes from some of the great thinkers and theologians and mystics of the past few thousand years. One name that you probably have not heard much, unless you have been in academic and philosophical circles, is Arthur Schopenhauer. Arthur Schopenhauer was a little bit before. I've already done videos now on Nietzsche and Freud and Emerson. He was around the same time as Emerson and as Immanuel Kant, who was a famous philosopher, as you probably know. Arthur Schopenhauer was one of those people who was not recognized really in his lifetime, but after he died, his work really caught on. The reason I'm interested in Schopenhauer is not so much for all of his philosophical ideas, but I was interested mainly because he really got into Hindu philosophy. And he loved the Upanishads, just like Emerson, just like the Transcendentalists. This was around the same time. This was happening around the same time. And you'll see that what Arthur Schopenhauer said, some of these quotes are just brilliant and are very much in line with A Course in Miracles. Now, most of these people, like including Freud, they said great things, but they didn't necessarily go as far as what the Course does. That's why I think A Course in Miracles speaks to a lot of people today, is because the Course really kind of weaves together all of these strands of all these thinkers and mystics and brings them into one coherent metaphysical thought system, which seems to be working for a lot of people. And partly because it speaks with such authority. Okay, so let's consider this brother, Arthur Schopenhauer, for a moment and see how much he was tuned in. A sense of humor is the only divine quality of man. A sense of humor is the only divine quality of man. I think Mark Twain had a quote like that too. It's like that's our saving grace, is a sense of humor. And the Course says something very similar. It all started with a tiny mad idea, which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. The problem was not laughing at the tiny mad idea, and taking it seriously. And that's what we do to this day, is we take everything so seriously. And that may be our problem. And if we learned to be a little bit more lighthearted and humored about things, we might find our way a little bit easier. I'll just leave it at that for right now. It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. Right? This is the same as what Jesus is telling us in the Course, and something we all know, but we resist this. We resist this mightily, right? We resist this idea. We think that something outside of ourselves, something external to our own mind, is going to make us happy. Wrong. It will not work that way. Nothing external to our mind. It's all our choice. Everything begins and ends with our mind. Our mind may make a choice that I want to feel whatever, and then something outside of ourselves seems to administer or minister to that idea, which is something that Jesus says in the Course. But don't forget that it started in your mind, right? Like I want to feel love, right? I want to feel more love. And then someone comes into your life and you do feel more love. Well, that started with your mind, and that started, and what you see in that person is really the love that person brings to you is something that they're only reflecting back to you what is already there and what you've already asked for. Now, this is not to say that everyone else outside of you is an illusion, is only a mirror for you. No, but it is to say that don't think that someone or something outside of yourself can make you happy or sad. That's up to you. That is no one else's responsibility but yours. Next one, every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. Every man, every person takes the limits of their own field of vision for the limits of the world. We think because we think it is a certain way, it's got to be that way. And we're not open so much to the fact that we could be wrong, and that maybe there is something greater than what we can think with our own mind. And that's arrogance, right? That is pride, that is arrogance. That is the arrogance of the ego. Like, because I can't imagine something more, or I can't think of anything more than what I currently think, my current philosophy is, then it can't be so. It's like that great Shakespeare quote or Shakespeare line, which is, there's more in heaven and earth than can be dreamed of in your philosophy. So we know what we know, but do we know what we know? Do we know all that there is to know? Let's put it that way. Next, all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident. Gandhi said something similar to this. First they mock you, then they reject you, then they mock you, and then finally it's accepted as self-evident, whatever you said. Wait, I can probably read you the quote if you want to hear it real quick here. Give me one little second here. Gandhi. Oh man, I'm just wasting time here. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. But I like Schopenhauer's quote. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident. So and this is probably true of Schopenhauer's ideas, right? He was not accepted during his lifetime. But later people are like, man, this guy had some cool things to say. All right. That's the way it is with what Jesus is teaching us in the Course in Miracles, is that we resist it. But he's like, yeah, you resist it, but you're going to come around to what I'm saying eventually. We seldom think of what we have, but always of what we lack. Therefore, rather than grateful, we are bitter. This is so true, right? We don't take the attitude of gratitude. And that's a mistake, right? We don't think about all that we have, we think about what we lack. I'm not going to say too much about that, but that's the ego mentality. Whereas the Holy Spirit's mentality is, wow, isn't life amazing? Isn't life so wonderful, wondrous? Isn't it great just to be alive? Isn't it great just to be here now and to experience all of this as it is? And I see a lot of suffering, and I want to help ease the suffering of my brothers, while I'm here. And it might be hard to do that, but I'm going to do it because I don't want to suffer, and I don't want to see anyone else suffer. Something like that. All right. And then you move from being bitter to getting better, right? When you look back on your life, it looks as though it were a plot, but when you are into it, it's a mess. Just one surprise after another, or one shitstorm after another, one damn thing after another. Then later you see it was perfect. This is a great one, right? You can look back and you can see one thing led to another, to another. It was all perfect. It was all the way it needed to be. So if you can see it later that it was perfect, you can see it now that it's perfect, right? Wise up, son. All right, here we go. I know of no more beautiful prayer than that which the Hindus of old used in closing. May all that have life be delivered from suffering. It's loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Really, I don't know if that's what he's referring to, but that one means may everyone be happy, right? May all beings be happy. So it just shows how Schopenhauer was definitely influenced by Hinduism, by Indian thought. But that's it right there. May everyone be delivered from suffering. That is what Jesus is saying in the Course. And suffering is first we let go of suffering. First we go beyond suffering ourselves, and we bring that light to everyone else. Suffering is an illusion. It's part of the egoic illusion, which the Hindus call Maya. Last one. One man's fate is always in keeping with another's, and everyone is the hero of his own drama, but at the same time figures also in that of another. All this, of course, is something that surpasses all our powers of comprehension. The subject of the great dream of life is in a certain sense only one thing, the will to live, and that all plurality of phenomenon is conditioned by time and space. It is the great dream that is dreamed by that one entity, but in such a way that all its persons dream it together. I'm going to read this again. This is a really great passage. It's a long one. Let's read it one more time. One man's fate is always in keeping with another's, and everyone is the hero of his own drama, but at the same time figures also in that of another. All this, of course, is something that surpasses all our powers of comprehension. This goes beyond all of us. We can't understand this. The subject of the great dream of life is in a certain sense only one thing, the will to live, and that all plurality of phenomenon is conditioned by time and space. So, something also the Course teaches is this drama of life is conditioned by time and space. It is the great dream that is dreamed by that one entity, but in such a way that all its persons dream it together. This is all a dream that we dreamed long ago, as the Grateful Dead sang, right? There's only one of us dreaming this dream, but we all seem to be dreaming. But the dream has us being many. I think that's what he's getting at. Is what Jesus is getting at in the Course. First of all, this is a drama and this is a dream. This is also part of the Hindu thought. This is what the Hindus call Leela, that there's a divine drama at play here. There's also the idea that God created the universe and everything in a sense of playfulness. It's not exactly what the Course teaches, but there's definitely some similarity which we could tease out if we wanted to, but I won't do it right now. But this is a divine drama, a Leela, and this is a dream that we're all partaking in. We're all the hero of our own dream. Schopenhauer says that, and Jesus says that, and Jesus might have been referring to Schopenhauer for all I know. When Jesus talks about the hero of the dream, which is in the text, this echoes what Schopenhauer is saying. The hero of, each person is the hero of their own drama, right? The hero of their, that's what Schopenhauer says, that each person is the hero of their own drama, and Jesus says each person is the hero of their own dream. Anyway, I hope this was helpful a little bit. Maybe you have a little bit more respect for someone who was onto these things just as we are, who are doing this the course and thinking about these things and who are asking these deep existential questions and not just asking them kind of offhand, but really going deeply into them. Not to make us special, but we are special in a sense, and it's important to acknowledge that we have a certain work and a certain calling in life, and that we are doing this, and the work that we are doing is for our own freedom and the freedom of everyone else, for the happiness of everyone else, for the ease of suffering of everyone else, including ourselves, right? We are part of everyone else. We are included in that. So I hope this was a little bit helpful, and thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Schopenhauer, and we'll be back again soon with more. Thank you. Bye-bye.